Furious drops to fire, burns wild. Chaos shenanigans at every corner. Sarcasm, a holy sermon in style. Dark chocolate, melted chaos warmer. Fighting this timeline with snark. Every soul welcome but no recorders. Baptized by laughter in the dark. We stand tall, scorning fake orders. In the church of glory rise. With chaos and shenanigans bright. Chocolate and sarcasm uprise. Together we light up the night.
Well, welcome. This is a kind of catch up on the North Carolina Marina press conference. It is a bit longer. It's actually the full 25 minutes, so we should be getting more information than we got from at least the LDS Church, because this wasn't a scene that they had to dig through fires. We will also be covering, since it's only about 20 minutes, this particular press conference, we will be covering the about 20-minute court hearing, 15-minute court hearing with Tyler Robinson in Utah courts. So if you aren't here for the live, I will be cutting that and putting that in its own separate video. So if you just want to watch that, we can do that. But I just realized that there was a hearing for him, so I figured we can go over the live news of the day. But without much further ado, I do have the closed captions on, and I do have the sound boosted, so hopefully their audio system is working okay.
District Attorney John David, Chief Morris with the Oak Island Police Department, and Jenna Early, the first assistant with the District Attorney's Office. They're behind me today to try to be here to answer any questions we may have or talk this through this morning. So I want to start off on Saturday, December 27th, 2025 at approximately 9:30. Members of the Southport Police Department were dispatched to cause of shots fired with multiple injuries at the American Fish Company at 150 Yacht Basin Drive here in Southport. Reports came in rapidly of a boat sitting in the waterway. Reports of a subject shooting multiple patrons of the establishment. Unfortunately, 3 were wounded fatally. We have 5 injured that are at area hospitals still receiving care. The boat fled the ICW toward the Oak Island Bridge. Shortly after 10 p.m., the Coast Guard observed a single individual matching the description of the shooter, loading their boat at a public...
I did not hear December.
Fatally. We have 5 injured that are at area hospitals still receiving care. The boat fled the ICW toward the Oak Island Bridge. Shortly after 10 p.m., the Coast Guard observed a single individual matching the description of the shooter, loading their boat at a public boat ramp in the area of Northeast 55th Street on Oak Island. Coast Guard crews detained the suspect, who was held at the Oak Island Police Department before being turned over to several members there, including the Southport Police Department, Brunswick County Sheriff's Office, Marine Fisheries, and the Oak Island Police Department. Also the SBI that were assisting us in these various locations. Suspect is a now Max Edge. He's been arrested and charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted first-degree murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. There are additional charges pending. This is still a very active investigation. But there's a couple of things that I want to point out to you today before I turn it over to some of these individuals behind me. Some facts that we have at this time is that we believe that this was a targeted location. We appear that he acted in what we call a lone wolf. He acted alone. This is highly premeditated from what we're seeing at this time, and we feel there are no other threats to our community, that we do have someone in custody. So that's what's important, that I want the community to know, that we do have someone in custody, and we feel like we have no other threats this time. Still a very active investigation. I want to point that out. We're asking that anyone who was at the establishment last night, those who may have been at the establishment on Friday night, to call our office, the Southport Police Department, at 910-457-7911. Again, when we arrived last night, it was a very chaotic scene. We had people that had fled the scene before officers were arriving. We did have some injured that walked into our local hospital here on Howe Street. So we are still trying to get these folks in. We need to talk to them. Anyone who may have video of the incident, we're asking you to reach out to our police department. Again, call us at 910-457-7911.
Okay, is it just me, or does the lady attorney, the assistant DA, it looks like she has lost an incredible amount of weight and is just waiting to get down to a certain size to buy more clothes? Living life with FND. This happened on Saturday. The Michigan church shooting happened on Sunday. It does seem like it, but also remember that if it bleeds, it leads in the traditional news. So any large crime like this is going to get, by virtue of being a leading story and kind of sensational, because you don't expect a, Marina attack by a lone wolf who thinks that white supreme pizza is aligned with the LGBT mafia, got together to shoot at him in Iraq. Yes, I do have a story pulled out, and this man has shown a tenuous grasp on the suspect, the alleged, perpetrator, has shown that he is only tenuously connected to reality. He did in fact serve in Iraq, and with these incidents happening within 24 hours of each other, it does seem like we have a budding mental health crisis of our returning veterans with PTSD. It does look like that is something that the VA needs to either step up their game or, allow outside experts to come and deal with this, because they are obviously not doing enough.
We understand this suspect identifies as a combat veteran. He self-identifies. Injured in the line of duty is what he's saying. He suffers from PTSD. We want to point those facts out. But again, the bottom line is that I want to assure our community that we feel like we do have our suspect in custody. And again, we're asking for your assistance. So those are two of the things I want to make sure and reiterate before I turn the microphone over to Sheriff Chisholm, to please call our office if you have any videos, or if you were there last night and we have not talked to you. We've been talking to multiple people. Again, we've had an outpouring of support from multiple agencies. Some 60 to 80 officers were here last night helping us, and we have still a lot of folks here that are continuing with its investigation. So at this time, I'll turn the mic over to Sheriff Chisholm.
Good morning. As Chief Cord mentioned, our hearts and prayers and thoughts go out to the family of the victims of this tragic incident. We stand with Southport PD. This is a place that I grew up, so it's a place that I hold near and dear to my heart, like many people in this room. And I want all of you in this room, I challenge you, do not let this define Southport.
Again, just to point out, if you guys watched Mornings with Mo, you instantly feel more connected to this man, more like he is human, because he's not looking at a script. He is just speaking off the cuff. Now, yes, he's probably just there to, kind of give, general answers. But both of the police chiefs and the sheriffs in both of these press conferences have, I think, been more reassuring, more human, and inspired more faith than that federal agent who just read off his script.
You have great men and women standing behind me, and I am so proud of my coworkers and Southport PD, the SBI, all the federal partners, Oak Island PD, everybody that came and responded and came together to get this guy in custody so quickly. I am very proud of them, and my heart goes out to them because they were here, they had to see this. Just know that we have all of our resources and they're available to Southport PD. And I just want to thank all the partners that were there last night and the ones that are here today and for their quick response and just the quick end to this tragedy. Thank you.
Charlie Boris, the Oak Island.
That is not the voice I expected to come out of this man. I know I have ADHD and squirrelism today but that was not the deep baritone that I was expecting from this man.
Police Department. Thank you, Sheriff. Just to reiterate a couple things that the Sheriff and Chief Coring said, we have a close-knit community here. I certainly do not want this incident to define who we are because that is not us. This is a person that has acted alone. We feel confident right now, even though we're in the preliminary stages of the investigation, we feel like that this person acted alone and there's no one else involved. Last night, our witnesses that were on the scene observed a white center console boat travel south or southwest, leaving the area. Our Coast Guard partners were patrolling along with our sheriff's office and encountered a boat down at the 55th Street boat access in Oak Island. The officers got out and made contact with Mr. Edge, and as a result of that, during the investigation, he was detained and taken into custody. Another thing that I would like to reiterate is, yes, Nigel Edge is a resident of Oak Island. We are familiar with him at the police department, so I want to acknowledge that as well. So I don't think I have anything else. But God bless our victims, God bless our community, and we wish our victims that are suffered the injuries a speedy recovery.
Good morning, Chris Brunzel, Special Agent in charge with the State Bureau of Investigation. I don't think it can be said enough, and join our partners in offering our prayers to the families of the victims who were murdered and injured last night during these tragic events that happened in Southport. I want to thank the men standing behind me and all of our local, state, federal, and every other partner that we have, U.S. Coast Guard that responded last night. Without these partnerships, we would not be able to stand in front of you to announce the arrest of this individual today. I also want to commend the men and women from all over the county and all over the state that responded to this incident last night. It's through their hard work that we were able to make this happen. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is District Attorney John David. Evil has come ashore in Southport, North Carolina. Ironically enough, at the very place which once served as a backdrop to the movie Safe Haven. And that name is
We're bringing movie references in? Okay.
Symbolic of the way in which the people in our community view this area. The thin veneer of peace and tranquility which has enveloped this idyllic waterfront community was shattered last night by gunfire that came from the water. When the dust settled, 8 people were shot, 3 of them are dead, and at least 1 is now clinging for their life. I want to tell you that the group of people that stand behind me now awoke this morning with a firm resolve to seek maximum justice in this case. I will tell you that the men and women of law enforcement worked quickly and in team-like fashion to give us the tools that we need to be effective in a courtroom. And that process will begin literally tomorrow with the first appearance of Nigel Edge. Now, there's a lot that prosecutors under the rules of North Carolina's professional rules are not permitted to say. We can talk a lot more about process than we can about facts. But you know something about the core nucleus of operative facts. I want to tell you a little bit about what the road ahead looks like. But before I do that, let me say first and foremost that my office prides itself on something that we refer to as the police prosecutor team approach. It's a highly collaborative.
Okay, I can't tell if this man was hired by the tourism board or the I'm the best prosecutor of the year. He is correct though that they will not be able to get, especially the prosecutor and possibly the police, now that this case will be going ahead for adjudication. They can't really go into a lot of specifics. They are trying to have strategy on a case too. This is one that I hope is live streamed. I will have to look on ChatGPT. I do not know if North Carolina has the DP. Let me look that up while we continue to hear this man's election pitch.
Collaborative process that requires us at the front end to work very closely. I personally arrived at the scene at about 11 o'clock last night. I saw with my own eyes the horror which has occurred in this case. I was joined by my first assistant, Jenna Early, my investigator, Charlie Lyles, and I'm so grateful for the incredible law enforcement response, the incredible response to the first arriving medical folks who did their best to limit further damage.
Okay, so ChatGPT is telling me that while functionally, or I guess statutorily, they do have the DP legally, it is under a de facto moratorium, i.e. that executions are no longer being carried out or not currently being carried out. Now, no one has been executed in North Carolina since 2006. Part of the reason is legal challenges over things like the lethal injection protocol and questions about fairness, racial bias, etc. And I'm going to see if there's any laws or upcoming bills on the record to try to change this. So there hasn't been one carried out in nearly 20 years. Now there is Marina's law, House Bill number 307, that was recently passed in North Carolina, would eliminate cashless bail, change pretrial release for certain violent offenders, and includes an amendment to allow for alternative methods of deletion should lethal injection be found unconstitutional. It also says a 2-year deadline for the North Carolina Supreme Court to review any death penalty convictions and mandatory post-conviction relief hearings. Now, House Bill 270, revised law on the DP, would allow people sentenced to death to choose between several methods of shuffling off this mortal coil. And it would repeal the current statute that restricts the methods of said shuffle. Now, there is Senate Bill 94 that is to repeal the death penalty altogether. So it does look like there are definitely different thoughts and opinions currently about what the ultimate punishment should be in North Carolina.
Damage and loss of life. It was really heartening to witness that play out in real time. So tomorrow we are going to be in a courtroom. And for the first time, we're going to be able to talk about the facts. In the fullness of time, the truth will emerge in a courtroom, and that's where I'm going to be doing the majority of my talking. He will be given a first appearance. He is currently charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, and 5 counts of assault with a deadly weapon, intent to kill, inflicting serious injury. I anticipate that additional charges could be forthcoming. And so we are going to be moving forward in that process tomorrow. He is currently held without bond. It is my hope and expectation that that will remain tomorrow and throughout this process. I will say that North Carolina is a state for which the death penalty is a potential, and my office does seek it in appropriate cases. I want you to know that there is a process in place within my office to scrupulously review the facts and circumstances of every homicide offense that comes through our door. I have a team of senior prosecutors that meet as part of a death penalty review committee, and we make sure that we thoroughly evaluate the facts and the law on a case-by-case basis. We do that to ensure that we make our decisions on the basis of the fact and law and not emotion, because it should go without saying this is a very emotional time for a lot of people. And we want to continue to embrace the process that has served us so well over the 15 years that I've been fortunate enough to be your elected district attorney. To sort of paint the picture of what occurred last night, the incident location where this occurred, the American Fish Company, which I've already indicated to you was quite literally the backdrop for the movie Safe Haven, had live music going on last night.
I don't remember this movie. Was that one of those Nicholas Sparks or Wally Lamb books? Because I don't remember that. I vaguely remember there being a Safe Haven, I think with Josh Duhamel or Drommel or whatever his name. Look, if it's not, I am going to go watch the Police Academy movies on a marathon, but if it's a sappy, girly romance by Nicholas Sparks, look, they never end happily. I don't watch them anymore. A Walk to Remember and Nights at Rodanthe and just about every other video has like the couple, one of them croaking. So I refuse to watch those movies anymore. I have never officially watched The Notebook. I don't know where I turn my female pass in, but it's just not my jam.
There is an outdoor deck which faces the water, and there was a lot of people out there last night just enjoying live music under the stars. The thread that connects everyone who's a victim in this case to this point just appears to be a love of having a good time and enjoying all that Southport has to offer. Sadly, a lot of the victims in this case appear to be not members of our community, but people who are here on vacation. And just to anticipate one of the questions that I imagine that you have, that's one of the very reasons why when we took out these warrants early this morning, we used only initials for people's names rather than their full name. Some of the victims' families live out of state. And as district attorney, I wanted to ensure that we made proper notifications to them before they're hearing about it on the news. And so that is one of the reasons why the arrest warrants that you have contain only initials at this juncture. Tomorrow, I expect you're going to be hearing more about potentially the identity of some of the victims, and you're going to hear more of the facts that underlie the investigation. But I can't overstate how quickly this investigation unfolded. Very heartened by the fact that law enforcement was able to make an immediate apprehension. I'm confident, based on what I now know, that we got the right guy and that he acted alone. I will tell you that we asked for some grace because we're only in the first 14 hours of this investigation. And in my experience as being a prosecutor, and I'm now in my 30th year of being a prosecutor, facts frequently change, they evolve. And so I allow for the possibility that we're going to learn substantial new information in the coming days and weeks. But having said that, I think we now know a core nucleus of operative facts. And I feel very confident as I stand before you today that law enforcement has given us the tools that we need to be effective. With that, we will entertain a couple of questions. Again, with the guardrails in place being facts are still being developed, and there's a lot we can't say consistent with the ethical rules under 3.8 and 3.6. So are there any questions? Yes, ma'am. In fact, he did. Mr. Nile Edge actually changed his name some years ago. And so we are looking to identify all of his past. And there's going to be questions about his past. Chief Morris already said that he's a resident of Oak Island, and he was well known to law enforcement. He wasn't quite as well known in the criminal court system. There were some minor contacts over the years, but nothing significant in his past which would give us any indication that he was capable of such horror. There have been a number of civil suits that he's instituted against people, and he's had some minor brushes with the law, but to this point, we're unaware of any significant criminal history. Again, we're going to check out of state, and it's early on in the investigation, but as I stand before you today, I'm unaware of that. Yes, ma'am.
Is a crime like this, do you think is kind of a one?
Yeah, so the question is
Jason J., they did say that they will be taking a look at the death penalty, but functionally since 2006, no one has been executed in North Carolina. So that's 20 years. Now, there are several bills. 2 out of the 3 are pro changing bits of the death penalty to keep it going. And then 1 is to abolish the death penalty. And thank you for letting me know, Morak. I will look that up while we continue playing this. If there's an update there, we can go to that too.
This comment in our area, I'll tell you that violent crime is virtually non-existent in the city of Southport. This is an idyllic waterfront community that really enjoys a reputation for being a very peaceful and tranquil place. Again, I've been a prosecutor for 30 years. I've started out my career in Miami, Florida, and then I was for a decade an assistant district attorney in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm not unacquainted with violent crime. Bad things happen to good people wherever you live, and I'm reminded of that today. But this would be remarkable anywhere.
All right, so this is actually not the hearing. This happened the night of. This is actually the hearing that we were looking at for today. I thought it was odd that they kept referring to the night before. I am wrong. This is actually the hearing that we were meant to be actually following. And they did announce that his particular office for the district attorney does recommend cases as death penalty cases. So he is not opposed to it. It does seem to be something that both the Senate and House are kind of duking out right now as to whether they want to reform or abolish the bill. That being said, there is some information. So sorry about that. Let's go to this one.
To the victims' families, and the people of Southport, I urge you to lean on each other in this wonderful community that you all have built here. I know I speak for the entire state of North Carolina when I say that you are not alone in your heartache or pain. You do not grieve alone. We stand with you.
I do have the sound boosted with both of my sound boosters, so hopefully along with this, and I will try to be quiet.
In my faith, it is the community's responsibility to comfort mourners, so we must. And we conclude our mourner's prayer by saying, may the one who brings peace to the universe bring peace to us. Chief Corning, Sheriff Chisholm, Chief Morris, Deputy Director Hawley, Deputy Commander Succo, I want to reiterate my appreciation for your immediate response to apprehend the suspect essentially within minutes of the attack. Your excellent police work may have saved additional lives. We will always be grateful for your resourcefulness and your professionalism. I have faith that law enforcement will continue to work tirelessly until the job is done in this case. And the state, of course, is ready to assist in any way possible to ensure that justice is served on behalf of the victims. One thing is clear. We must do more to prevent these acts of violence. It has to be our top priority. Recent events here in Southport and Charlotte not to mention Michigan, Utah, Minnesota, and Kentucky, and I'm talking about just in the last few weeks, are clarion calls telling us that we have more work to do to make sure that people are both actually safe and that they feel safe in their communities. We must fix our broken mental health care system. We know that
I don't disagree, but are you going to give us anything other than slogans? I mean, saying we must fix something doesn't lay out a concrete path. It sounds like sloganeering to me. Again, maybe he does have a concrete path. Maybe this isn't the time to get into it, but this sounds like a lot of platitudes.
vast majority of folks with mental health challenges pose no risk to others, but some can. There are too many people in our communities with dangerous obsessions exhibiting threatening behavior who do pose risks. We have got to do better, and I will do everything that I can, and I will work with anyone and everyone who is serious about protecting the people of this state. Folks deserve to be and feel safe in their towns, whether they're enjoying a dinner or praying in church or coming home from work. We must do better to keep people safe. I want to transition and just say a word about the storm, since I'm here on the coast and we are still in a state of emergency. I'm grateful that we're joined by Public Safety Secretary Eddie Buffalo and Colonel Freddie Johnson with the Highway Patrol. We are encouraged that the recent forecasts have shown that the storm Imelda is being pushed further off our coast. But it does not mean that there will not be impacts from this storm felt on land or that we should not be prepared. The combined impact of the two storms, Humberto and Imelda, may cause isolated flash flooding, coastal flooding, ocean overwash, wind gusts, and dangerous rip currents throughout much of this week. The storm will likely linger, and hazardous conditions on the coast may continue throughout the end of the week. So if you're visiting the beaches, please stay out of the water this week. And folks in the east, just be aware that flash flooding may happen in your community. On Saturday, I declared a state of emergency across North Carolina to facilitate our emergency response and to make sure that the assets of the state, the assets at our state's disposal are available to assist any communities with their response needs. The state of the emergency covered the whole state, enabled us to send critical resources from across North Carolina to pre-position them here on the coast. We activated our state emergency response team, which is a consortium of the Department of...
His veneers are really white. Again, once you have shown me that you're just going to say hollow platitudes, my mind is free to not pay attention to you, and I start noticing physical features. So, sir, your veneers are whiter than white. Congratulations.
Public Safety, Department of Transportation, North Carolina National Guard, State Highway Patrol, and our local partners. Thankfully, the change in Imelda's forecast track, we hope that these resources are not needed, but they remain ready and available if they are. We always seek to prepare for the worst. At the same time, we hope for the best. Last Saturday's one-year milestone of Hurricane Helene reminds us of the importance of being prepared. Anna and I, our First Lady and I, spent the weekend with our neighbors in Western North Carolina. The milestone event stirred incredible emotions out west. Folks were mourning all that was lost, 108 lives lost in the storm. At the same time, they were celebrating the remarkable progress that they've made, and they're sober in their recognition about the vast amount of work that remains ahead of them. While this weather system is not looking nearly as catastrophic as Helene, thank gosh, know that we're preparing early and knowing that preparing early and following emergency guidance can save lives. My last thought is that in times like this, whether it's in the wake of a natural disaster or a horrific tragedy as experienced here Saturday night, it is more critical than ever that we look out for each other. So I encourage you to reach out to your friends, reach out to your family, reach out to your neighbors. Make sure they're okay, make sure that they have what they need, and we at the state are committed to doing likewise. Thank you. Happy to take questions, and you can address them to any of the speakers. Yes, sir. We need to have a greater integration in our criminal justice system with our mental health care system, because usually it's law enforcement that is the first point of contact with people, either because they get repeated phone calls about a person who may be a risk, but it's not enough to just know that somebody may be a challenge. We've then got to be able to connect that person with the treatment that they need to address whatever their underlying conditions are. There is a great deal that we need to do to improve our mental health care system, and we will be talking more about that in the days to come.
Governor, question over here, Monica Casey, WRAL. The crime bill that's currently on your desk, Democrats push for there to be a red flag law component to that. Do you think that would have made a difference here?
I don't know the specifics of this gentleman and whether there are people in the community who were concerned enough about his erratic behavior to have triggered a red flag law provision. I think it's a good idea. There are people in our community who people know are a risk to others, a risk to themselves, and they should not have firearms. And that's what a red flag law allows, is for a judge through due process.
Wait a minute. Is he saying round up your local crazies and bring them in to be tagged and sorted? He's like, hey, folks, you all know a nutbag. Like, let's go find them. Who is this clown, and why are we listening to him?
Process to temporarily remove dangerous weapons from people who are a risk.
So red flag laws.
The public would be well served if North Carolina had a red flag law. I'll have to defer to the locals who know more about him and what his conditions were and what his engagement with local law enforcement was, whether there were family members or neighbors in the area who were concerned. I just don't have enough to say. I don't know if anyone wants to take that question. Okay.
Why is there a baby in the room?
At this point, it's premature. Yes. We're doing a systematic analysis of our mental health care system and what is needed in order to enhance it so that we have the resources to respond to people's needs. There are too many people who are profoundly troubled, who are obsessed, whose paranoia gets stoked by what they read on the internet every day. And we've got to figure out ways so that those folks don't pose risks to the community.
We'll take one last question. What do you expect new details about the system?
I'm Chief Todd Corn with the City of Southport Police Department. We should have details coming out possibly tomorrow on that. They're still hospitalized. We're still getting information. We're trying to allow the family some time, but we should have another media release coming out tomorrow with additional details.
Fair point.
To my understanding, we do have one that is still very critical at one of our area hospitals.
Thank you all.
Well, I don't have the details on that. I don't have clearly enough to speak on that. They're at two different hospitals, and I have not had time to check up on them yet.
So all five are still in?
To my knowledge, yes, the ones that were transported are still hospitalized.
All right. So I think Morak was right. We are going to go from this to this update. This is the the latest press conference in the Michigan church. So I will just be not clopping, chopping this into its own video. But we will. They do have subtitles or closed captions. And let's speed to where we actually have someone coming in. Oh, for the love of Cheetos, do what you're told.
Hey, hey, hey.
What is your problem today, Cletus? The computer? Kim Better to the stand. Oh God, Gretchen Whitmer.
Kim Better.
Who put out the demon alert? Why is Gretchen Whitmer here? She is looking more like Kathy Hochul and Skeksis from The Dark Crystal than ever. Why does she look like Morticia? What is going on?
Michigan State Police Public Information Officer. Thank you for joining us for this afternoon's news conference. Joining us today is Governor Whitchin.
Look, stop women with this Murphy Brown BS. Stop wearing the blouses with the neckties. We all collectively rebelled against this. Stop. Stop bringing it back. Stop. It's not going to happen. It's not fetch. It's not drip. It's not, whatever new word there is for cool, sick. I don't know. Stop it. Murphy Brown even says stop it.
Gretchen Whitmer, Colonel James F. Grady II, Director of the Michigan State Police, James Deere, ATF Special Agent in Charge for Michigan, FBI Acting Special Agent in Charge Reuben Coleman, Sheriff Chris Swanson, Genesee County Sheriff, and Chief William Rennie, Grand Blanc Township Police Department.
Thank you. I'm here as governor to bring the full support of the entire state of Michigan to this community. I want to thank all of our local law enforcement, state police, federal agents for their swift response. I want to thank local fire and EMS and medical providers for saving lives and caring for those who are still fighting for their lives in the hospital. And thank the incredible Department of Natural Resources Conservation Officer and the local Grand Blanc officer for their brave actions to take down the shooter and their quick response. I think we can see the best of public service in all of these individuals. As I said, I'm here as the governor, but I'm also here as a fellow Michigander whose heart is breaking by another mass shooting.
You have a heart? Like not in a jar somewhere in the back of your pantry? Asking for a friend.
In a place that is supposed to be defined by togetherness, in a close-knit community here in Grand Blanc. As a state, we know the pain of this too well. We've seen gun violence in our schools, stores, parades, festivals, and our houses of worship. These are places that we go to feel connected, to feel safe, to be together. But today, this place has been shattered by bullets and broken glass. And this might be a familiar pain, but it hurts all the same. Every time. We cannot keep living our lives like this. I know that this community is reeling right now, and I want you to know that the state of Michigan has your back. Your grief is our grief. I ordered flags lowered statewide, and I spoke with President Trump yesterday, who wanted to share his condolences. We will be here every step of the way and coordinate a full response with our local and federal partners. Folks here at the township, at every level, we're working closely together. If there's one thing I know about Michiganders, It's that we get through hard things together. And that's who we are. That's how the good people here at the Grand Blanc Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints live their lives. They worship together, they sing together, and they serve together. And that's why I was so proud to see powerful statements from interfaith leaders across Michigan denouncing this attack on a house of worship. They grieved for this congregation as though it was their own. They spoke with one voice for the basic principle that we all believe in, that you should be able to pray in peace in our state, no matter who you are. I know that in the hours and days ahead, we will see the best of Michigan. We will see neighbors being neighborly, checking in with a call, bringing over some food, or offering a hug. We'll see medical providers work hard to save lives and treat those in need, with scars both seen and unseen. We will see this congregation unite and rally together like never before and continue worshiping together, singing together, and serving together. Because that's who Michiganders are.
Ma'am, have you ever been to a church and not burst into sudden flame, just asking for a friend again? Also, I despise these political stump speeches at press conferences like this. No one wants to hear Gretchen Whitmer babble on about whatever it is she's babbling about. No, I'd rather hear facts and information about the case. And even if Gretchen Whitmer was my favorite politician, I wouldn't want to hear from her. Again, the public is wanting information, answers. Why, how, when, where. Not we all are Michiganders and we will be just neighborly and happily, congregationally.
We will stay in close contact and continue to work together. Now, like everyone I know, we have lots of questions. How could this happen? What created this moment? Why? And that's motivated by a genuine motivation to understand, to learn, to prevent in the future. But I want to caution everyone, while we are working hard, while the good men and women who are working hard are doing so with due diligence at this juncture, speculation is unhelpful and it can be downright dangerous. So, just
Await your government forebearers, your governmental betters than you, before you have a thought. I know it's rare that my skin tone is darker than someone's, but I feel like a tan ma'am here. I feel like I have a healthy summer glow compared to this heifer. That being said, I do know I don't particularly like Gretchen Whitmer, so I'm probably being a little bit more spicy. That being said, if you're a fan of Gretchen Whitmer, again, she's just not my cup of tea.
ask that people lower the temperature of rhetoric. Keep your loved ones close and keep this community close to your hearts. Let's keep doing the work together. Let's be kind and let's love our neighbors. Thank you, and now I'd like to introduce the head of the Michigan State Police, Colonel James Grady.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon. Now, this community has been greatly impacted by yesterday's events. We are offering our deepest condolences to those affected by this tragedy. This horrific event is something that this community has never experienced. It is important at this time that we come together to support one another in this time of grief. We stand ready and willing to assist both our local and federal partners with any additional needs as this investigation continues. The Michigan State Police immediately responded alongside our public safety partners to secure the scene, provide support to our neighbors, with our emergency support team serving search warrants, the bomb squad and K-9 team sweeping numerous locations for evidence and explosives. Additionally, our forensic science laboratories and our special investigation section continue to investigate the officer-involved shooting and work alongside our federal and local partners. I'd like to take a moment for everybody to remember The last year, we put together an initiative called Stop the Plot. While we are committed to keeping our community safe, we also need your help. Again, it takes everybody.
Stop the plot. Again, bring me your nutbags, your crazies, your loonies, your toonies. We are here to take all crazy conspirosities and take away those people's due process. Again, I understand the sort of, you know, logic of these red flag laws, but anything given to the government will be abused. Any powers to negate due process will be abused. For every stop the plot that they manage to capture, how many innocent people are going to have their God-given rights trampled on? Now, there's always going to be that cost benefit analysis, but it does seem like this desire for red flag laws, they don't seem to catch anything as much as we're told they should catch things.
53% of mass attacks leave a trail of clues leading up to them. And 2/3 of mass attackers elicited behavior that caused concerns. So we are asking our communities to stay vigilant, and if you see something suspicious, please contact local law enforcement or 911 immediately. We will keep the family in our prayers here at MSP as they continue to cover and we work together. Thank you for your time. Next up, we will have from the AT. Thank you. We will have ATF Special Agent in Charge for Michigan, James Deere.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Deere with ATF. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for ATF Michigan.
And because I started this trend yesterday, because he is an ATF member and I'm a kid of the early 90s, we're playing a puppy kitten break because the only thing that scares an ATF officer more is a puppy or a kitten in their general vicinity. Yes, I'm a little salty still about the children burned alive in Waco Ridge and the gross misconduct at Ruby Ridge. Or not Waco Ridge, Waco and then Ruby Ridge. It's been a day.
When the world feels like a dumpster dive and humans forget how to thrive, take a break, just you and me, with a puppy and kitten, wild and free. Paws and purrs, let's drift away to a land where tails wag and play. No more noise, just gentle muse in our furry four-legged cruise.
All right.
That was the stake.
On behalf of the men and women of ATF, I offer my deepest sympathy and condolences to this community and to the families affected by this tragedy, this horrific act of violence. There is no place in our society for this. There's absolutely no place. But it's become all too common, and as we know, we have become more and more desensitized. This community is hurting, and we are here to help them heal. As part of that healing process, ATF has brought in their national response team. This is a cadre of world-renowned investigators for arson and explosive incidents. They have been used all over the world, and they come from places as far as California, Hawaii, and they're here in Michigan now. They arrived last night, they've briefed, they're examining the scene, and that is what they're doing at this point. From ATF's perspective, I would encourage the community not to travel by the church. Those roads have been blocked off and access is controlled. While that might be a little disheveling for folks, that we need that scene security for our investigators as they dig out this scene. So with that in mind, that's our ask for.
Well, F&D, then you probably heard my husband, or me tell my husband that we got a bunch of steaks at Sam's Club on their steak clearance or whatever. And I was telling him that one of the steaks is really rare. That being said, then we were talking about steak rubs. Yeah, JKD Buck, not desensitized. We're fed up that we live in a world, if we call the FBI and report an imminent threat, we won't be heard. Yeah, it's it's not like these people are unknown to law enforcement 98% of the time. And then we have the Bart Simpson meme of say it again, Bart. He was known to law enforcement every daggone freaking flapjack time.
For the community. We are also looking at improvised explosive devices that were recovered during this investigation and looking towards that end as well. I need to introduce the acting special agent in charge for the FBI of Detroit, Michigan, Reuben Coleman.
Mr. Look at my speech the entire time.
My name is Reuben Coleman. I'm acting special agent in charge of FBI Detroit Field Office, which represents the entire state. At this time, we wanted to provide
Now, think back to just about 15 minutes or 20 minutes, the night of the attack at the Marina, when we were watching the wrong press conference. The special agent in charge of that one didn't have a speech, looked up, basically said, hey, we can't tell you a whole bunch, it's an active investigation. The same sort of gibberish this man is going to say, but he has to look at a speech.
Update our investigative efforts regarding yesterday's tragic shooting at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc, Michigan. First, I want to express my gratitude for all the cross-agency collaboration between our federal, state, and local partners. Their support has been outstanding and critical to this investigation. We are in lockstep with our partners as we continue to work through this. As I mentioned yesterday, the FBI is investigating this as an act of targeted violence, and we are continuing to work to determine a motive. In the past 24 hours, our investigators...
Okay, I'm not a super-de-duper logical person, but if you've already classified this as a targeted attack, then you would have to know that the motive specifically targeted people of a certain protected characteristic. Now, while you can say faith characteristic, possibly yes, but it just seems a little cart before the horse to say this was a targeted incident and then we don't know a motive.
Squads and specialty teams have been out all night exhausting leads, some of which have been coming in from the public via tips. Our special agents, victim specialists, child advocate forensic interviewers, and local partners have interviewed over 100 victims and witnesses to date and are continuing to interview individuals as we speak. Our evidence response team, or ERT, which is a specialized team of special agents, intelligence analysts, and professional staff, are trained to process crime scenes and collect evidence. They were out all night and continue processing the scene as we speak. Our field office has stood up national equities for support. We are engaging with our Behavioral Analyst Unit, or BAU, and have received support from our Quantico Labs division to analyze evidence collected to date. We received assistance from our FBI field offices across the country to support this case and file down leads. While our focus is on this investigation, we want to continue to keep the victims and their families in our thoughts as they navigate through this incredibly difficult time. Please continue to reach out to the FBI via 1-800-CALL-FBI or submit tips at tips.fbi.gov. Thank you.
Just the tip. Call the feds.
Chief?
Ooh, he knife-handed him. He was like...
You prepare in peace to perform in chaos.
Was he the head model for Max Headroom? Just asking for a friend who is getting uncanny, like, this is the head, or the, disembodied head from the 90s.
I saw it live. I saw what you trained for, what you planned for, and then reality hit yesterday morning on a bright sunny day when people went to worship. But what I also saw is every level of government law enforcement work together for the good of the people. What I witnessed was people putting their lives at risk that had 2 months on the job as an EMT, or brand new firefighters, veteran firefighters, and law enforcement, just to bring a sense of stability to a scene that was chaotic and dynamic. As the sheriff of this county, I see the great people every day. But I want this community to know that those ranks in those agencies that were mentioned before me, we worked together. We worked in concert, and we did the job. And there's more to do. I will tell you, the sheriff's office dedicated every county sheriff medic that we had available, patrol, investigators, we did interviews, emergency management, whatever the task was needed. The sheriff's office worked with everybody that you heard and many that you don't know to bring justice and also order to the scene. But I will tell you, the days are continuing. We have 31 marked cars on as we speak, making sure schools that are in session and churches that are planning Bible studies, regardless of faith base, that they will be protected. Anybody who calls in, we will be there like other law enforcement to settle the community and bring a sense of calmness to people. There is an uncertainty, but law enforcement, especially this sheriff's office.
Hey, you know what would cure uncertainty? And I get that you can't go into super duper details, but how about explaining to us the exact, events that happened? How about you give us a timeline? I know you've done that before, but, how about you give us any information that you are picking up about the suspect? He has passed away, so there is no reason to guard a potential case against him. So we should know, or we should be able to know relatively more because there will not be a case against him. That being said, it does look like this is a circular jerkular moment.
Will bring that to you. I will tell you that there are noble heroes who do not wear a uniform that went to that church yesterday. You're going to hear the stories as we lay out this case with law enforcement, but I will tell you this, those heroes from that church did their job. And it was led because of a police department. So law enforcement from this township is led by a chief who demonstrated leadership right out of the gate. And my honor is to announce him as the final speaker, Chief Rennie of Grand Blanc Township.
Thank you, Sheriff. Evil. This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are. We are a community, and I am confident that together we're going to build a stronger community due to this incident. Now, an update, this left 5 people dead, 8 people injured. As I said, this is an evil act and does not define Grand Blanc or who we are. At this time, what we know is everyone has been accounted for. We still are in the process of clearing out that church, but at this time, everyone is accounted for. We ask that you stay away from the scene. Let us work to clear this call so then we can get back to normal. That's what we all want. Grand Blanc Township police officers, the community of Grand Blanc Township, we're hurting. And we know that you are hurting as well with us. I want to remind you that we had the Family Assistance Center open. They will be open Monday and Tuesday at the Genesis Athletic Club from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. That address is 801.
I will say that this is probably the quickest I have seen a locality put together mental health help for not only the victims or, the actual victims that were there in the church, but for local community, people who now every time they go into their church or into a Walmart, they're looking for exits. So I will say, of all the bloviating and general patting on the back that's going on, I will commend this locality, Grand Blanc, for getting mental health out to its community, for recognizing that this has ripped away the innocence of not only those churchgoers, but every person of this community.
Health Park Boulevard, Grand Blanc, Michigan 48439. Seek service, let's come back together and be stronger together and better. I'll open it up at this time for any questions. Sir.
Question, when it comes to the act of violence, can you define why it's considered an act of violence and not something more serious like terrorism?
I will let Agent Coleman speak to that particular question.
Yes, as of right now, we are calling it an act of violence, as this is an investigation that is continuing. We are continuing to receive leads. We're continuing to run down all information. And once we're able to ascertain definitively what we have, that's when we'll make those statements. But as of right now, this is an act of violence. Thank you.
Follow up on that, please. You called this an act of targeted violence. Can you tell us who you believe the target was? A specific person, the LDS Church, another group?
Well, as of right now, again, as this is an ongoing investigation, what I would say is when I say targeted violence, I mean targeted within our state and within our community. Right now, what we are here for are the families and the victims, and we're going to work diligently in order to make sure we can bring closure for them as well.
When you speak about the motive, there was some chatter that the suspect's ex-girlfriend was a Mormon or something of that nature, chatter online about that. Is that something that you can speak to, or any possible motive?
That is something I cannot speak to at this point in time.
We heard that someone was arrested after driving through the barricade near the church. Can you share any information on that, why they were arrested, maybe what their intentions were?
Yes, Chief?
Yes, I could speak on that. Yes, there was an incident out there. We are still in the process of investigating that incident, whether or not it's related or not. I could tell you that we do have a 21-year-old person in custody for that incident right now.
Does the suspect have any prior criminal history or known contact with law enforcement?
Are you talking about the suspect from yesterday or today?
The suspect from yesterday.
The suspect from yesterday has been arrested by law enforcement in the past.
And the 5 dead, does that include the suspect, or is that another?
The 5 dead includes the suspect.
Can you give any details on what those prior arrests were?
Burglary and OWI.
OWI. I'm not shocked. Michigan and a lot of the more northern parts of the Midwest are known to be heavier drinkers. That being said, that's like the pot calling the kettle, because Indiana is known for its drunk drivers too. But that being said, there are some hard drinking cities in the Midwest.
That I can't give you 100%. Terry.
No, so I just want to clarify, no more victims. You searched the church and...
We have not completed search in the church, but as
okay,
we know, everyone has been accounted for. That's going to be all the questions that we answered today. If you this is our last press conference. If there's other pertinent information that develops, we will let you guys all know and post that on our social media account, Grand Blanc Township Police Department Facebook page. Thank you.
Sorry. I'd just like to note that
Vitchmer?
Dr. Michael Danick, the Medical Chief of Staff from Henry Ford Genesis, will be available for questions after this news conference. He's here on the side of the room. Does anybody need any spelling of names? No?
All right, we are going to go into the Tyler Robertson court hearing. And then this will be its own video. They are waiting for Tyler Robertson at this point, but this will be its own video. So if you are just interested in this, this will be a video for our rewatchers. Well, there was a lot of fear, and I am deeply, deeply happy and overjoyed that despite the fact that they haven't gone through the whole church, that every person has been accounted for, because I was worried that the victims were going to go up into the double digits quite substantively when they searched the church. But it looks like everyone has been accounted for. Again, these press conferences rarely give out a whole lot of information. I would be looking for any filings by the FBI once those become available, if they'll become available. They are just waiting for Tyler to show up. Let's see. Morak. Tyler Robertson is the young man accused of taking Charlie Kirk's life, basically in front of the entire world. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. It feels like it's only been a couple of days, but I do believe it's been nearly 2 weeks since Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And Tyler Robertson is the alleged suspect. Now, there is still a lot of conjecture going around if he had help, if this was a coordinated effort. I don't know if any of this will be, revealed in this court hearing. It's probably a first or second appearance. But this is the gentleman that has been accused of that. And that's okay. It's hard to keep up with everything and everyone. There's Karen Reed going on. There's the Tim's case with Megan. There's, so many cases going on. It's hard to keep all of the names, kind of solid. That's what I'm here for. I try to keep up with all of these cases to generally keep you up to speed. All right, we're gonna wait till we're gonna fast forward. It looks like.
Please be seated. Good morning. Court is now in session.
That is a really strong jawline,
Calling the
sir.
case 251403576, State of Utah versus Tyler James Robinson. Counsel, could you enter your appearances, please?
Chad Grunander, Jeff Gray, Lauren Hunt, Ryan McBride, and Chris Ballard for the state, Your Honor.
Good morning, counsels.
Good morning, Your Honor. Kathy Nestor, Michael Burt, and Richard Novak on behalf of Mr. Robinson.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning to you all.
Morning.
And to the jail. Do we have Mr. Robinson present?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Robinson, good morning to you as well. Counsel, as we begin, I have entered orders allowing the admittance of Mr. Michael Burt, Mr. Richard Novak, pro hoc vice, and appointing them along with Ms. Catherine Nestor to be Mr. Robinson's counsel. The court enters findings that the combined experience of counsel meets and exceeds the requirements of Rule 8. Counsel, do we have, what would we like to accomplish today?
I have two items, Judge. I just wanted to make a record that under Rule 16 of the Utah Rules of Criminal Procedure with respect to discovery, the state is required to provide to the defense within 5 days of the defense's request the discovery that we relied on in making this charging decision. We'll be prepared to do that, so we'll look for defense counsel's request or the next day or so, and we'll provide that to the defense.
Thank you.
We also, for the court's information, we met this morning with the defense team briefly in our office to talk about discovery and the process, so we'll be working together. There is a substantial amount of discovery in this case, Your Honor. It's voluminous, to say the least, and we're working on a process where we can exchange information as quickly as possible and be efficient in that process.
Now, what that tells me, at least from a evidence standpoint, is that they have found his digital footprint. They probably downloaded everything off of his phone, off of his boyfriend's phone off of his computer, and they have to parse all that out and figure out what is evidence and what is not. They generally just take everything. So it does seem good that a lot of prosecutors will talk a good game and not be really good at giving timely discovery to the defense. I do hope that this is a case. Again, if this young man did what he did, then lock him up and throw away the key. But the justice system that we co-sign and that is flawed requires that his constitutional rights not be violated because he's a douche canoe. You don't have to like him to afford him the natural right that he was given, and the rights from the Constitution that he has. And the defense team, they have a job to protect his rights. If you're upset about the Carrie Timms and Brady Timms case, then you don't want anyone else to be deprived of their due process rights.
The other item I had, Your Honor, I saw that over the weekend there was a protection order, pretrial and trial publicity order entered by Your Honor. And I just was seeking some clarification. On page 2, at the end of the first paragraph, it reads, "To that end, lawyers participating in the investigation or litigation of this case shall inform all witnesses, investigators, consultants, staff members, or other members of the prosecution or defense teams about the prohibitions contained in this order." The state were seeking some clarification with respect to the phrase "all witnesses," Your Honor. There are a number of witnesses that have yet to be identified that will likely be used in the state's case. This occurred in front of 2,000 to 3,000 students at Utah Valley University. So we're in the process of identifying those witnesses. And so those individuals are presently unknown right now. So we're looking for a little clarification from the court. And I suppose we're not going to make any arguments today, but there may be some follow-up pleadings that we may need to file.
Thank you. Ms. Nestor, did you want to be heard about that issue?
No, Your Honor, we would defer to whatever the court wants to advise them on that matter. I think it's fairly obvious that we don't know who all the witnesses are in this case yet. I think it's just important that if anyone is identified, that they have information about this order. So I think other than that, we wouldn't weigh in on any other matter.
Thank you. Well, thank you for that question. That's an important one. The court will rule that as the witnesses become known to each side, that information is conveyed to abide by this order. Obviously, there are potentially many witnesses, and so it's not the expectation that you would be able to do that up front, but as they become known, I would ask that you would inform them of this.
And, I'm already liking this judge. He's taking time to, answer questions thoughtfully. It doesn't really revise his order, but it makes his kind of reasoning and what he expects very clear. And the state, and the defense, once they identify witnesses, need to explain to them what his particular ruling was about talking to the media, saying stuff on social media. With high-profile cases like this, it is usually the rule and not the exception that they're going to have gag orders that limit what anyone nearby or adjacent to the case can say.
Anything else, counsel?
Nothing from the state, nothing else, Judge.
Thank you. Ms. Nestor.
Thank you, Your Honor. We recognize that we are here today for a waiver hearing. It is not our intent to waive a preliminary hearing in this matter. We are going to be seeking that one be set. However, based largely on what the state just referred to as far as the voluminous nature of the discovery materials, we do think it would be prudent to simply reset for another conference, another waiver hearing, a little bit down the road, where we have a better idea once we start seeing the discovery as it rolls in. I do recognize we're going to be getting that first batch in 5 days, but it's my understanding from our meeting today that there is massive amounts of digital that is going to be coming. And until we can kind of get our heads around exactly what we're dealing with and how much we need to process, it's going to be difficult for us to give you a reasonable expectation of when we will be ready to do the prelims. So we're asking today that we put that decision off, and maybe we could check in 30 to 60 days and just kind of let the court know where we're at and how much we're looking at and how much time we may need to set a preliminary hearing. Also, as far as a detention hearing, we are not asking the court to address that issue at this time. Under the statute, the issue is going to come down to the question of whether there's substantial evidence, which right now we're just not in a position at all to be able to even argue to the court. So we are probably going to ask that the court delay that decision possibly until the time of the prelim. But if it's sooner, we will ask the court for a hearing. But at this time, we are not asking the court to make any decisions on that matter.
Thank you, counsel. In regards to the next hearing date, how about October 30th at 10 a.m.?
That works for the state, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
That's fine for the defense, Your Honor.
All right. Now, as we're at the beginning, anything further from counsel from either side?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
As we are at the beginning of this case, it is my intent to only speak when I'm needed or it is necessary. But today I do wish to provide guidance and expectations that you can have for this court and wish to enter an order as well. As this case moves forward, Mr. Robinson's constitutional rights will be protected at every stage. He sits before this court presumed innocent, and that presumption remains unless and until each element of every offense charged against him is proved beyond a reasonable doubt. At the same time, and as applicable, victims are entitled under our Constitution to be treated with fairness, respect, and dignity, free from harassment or abuse. Justice demands that both of these principles, the rights of the accused and the rights of victims, be honored without compromise. I remain steadfast in my oath that I made 56 days ago to support and defend the constitutions of the United States and of Utah. I will carry out my duties with fidelity, transparency.
This is a baby judge?
And impartiality, treating every person who appears before me with the dignity and respect they are inherently due because they are human beings. Let me be clear. I will not put my finger on the scale of justice. These proceedings will be open to the public, conducted in accordance with the law, and handled with diligence and competence to ensure that justice is never compromised.
Did this man become my favorite? Did I just get a judge crush? He's like, they will be streamed to the public. They will be open to the public. And I'm not going to be a douche. I like it. I like it so much.
It's the standing order of this court that Mr. Robinson shall be allowed to appear in person so he can fully engage with his attorneys and participate in these legal proceedings. Counsel, regardless of who is watching, whether it is the nation or a single individual, we must fulfill our roles with integrity, civility, and diligence. I encourage each of you to give your very best to this case. Neither Mr. Robinson nor the people of Utah deserve anything less than the fair and impartial administration of justice.
Okay.
In regards to the next hearing, counsel, on that October 30th date at 10 a.m., it's the court's intent that be in person if it be the wish of counsel for the defense for Mr. Robinson to be present.
It is, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Counsel, anything else that we can address today?
Your Honor, we appreciate the court's comments with respect to Your Honor's role in this case. In like matter, we commit to approach this case with integrity, with professionalism and civility. We are truth seekers. We will aggressively pursue the truth in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, counsel, unless there's anything else, thank you for being here.
I will say the defense attorney strikes me as very personable. If anyone's going to humanize this defendant, I think her kind of genuine kind of warmth and kindness might. I don't know that that's going to make him not guilty, but I will say that, you know, she's there to do a job to make sure that Tyler's constitutional, you know, rights are being zealously defended. And you may not like that she has to defend Tyler, but that's her job. That's the way our system works. And, you know, it's the best justice system we have. So I do think that her personality is going to win people over. I already kind of like her. I will say I like the judge, but he reminds me a little bit too much of like an after school special. Like he's just too kind. Now Mr. Mo will do this too. I call him so nice he's nearly Canadian. So it's not that. I just, look, this is not my inside personality. I have never been even vaguely, you know, confused for a Canadian. All right. So I tend to have just a piss and vinegar kind of attitude. So people that just act really calm and like kind confuse me. But that is all for this stream, you guys. Thank you for joining with me. I am going to be just chopping these up into videos. So if you let people know if people are interested, but they're only interested in one of the three things that we looked at today, let them know that I covered it. That would be a great big help because this is kind of a new thing that I'm doing with these live events. That being said, I am on at 6 p.m. over on Shizzy's channel. We are going through the Twin Flames universe, early days of Suosity. We are getting through the complaint that they filed against former coaches and members for defamating them, as of course you can do that both criminally and civilly, which is not the case. That being said, it will be a wild ride. It is a case out of Michigan, and we started covering this case because I covered a story on Mornings with Mo that the Michigan AG is now looking into and doing a full investigation of the Twin Flames universe. Some people have called it the Church of Union, and some people call it a big old cult. That being said, I vote for cult of idiots. That being said, Jeff is such a douche. That's my personal clinical opinion as a non-doctorologist. He expresses all the douchey characteristics that we learned about in every John Hughes movie from the 80s. He is just grotesquely arrogant, rich, and thinks that his wealth will make him untouchable. He just recorded nearly all of his crimes is the problem. That being said, if you like cults, we do cults on Mondays. Me and Shizzy hang out, try to make it fun when we're reading the documents by using different voices or facial expressions. It's not your typical document read-through. So I will be over there at 6 tonight. Hope to see you guys there. And thank you so much for joining me. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and Gary can a bitch fire. Because honestly, kindness doesn't equal doormat anymore. The kind are standing up and we are not going to take it anymore. Bye, you guys.